So after eating, we can feel ourselves losing consciousness. It starts by a loss of physical and mental energy, mental things feeling overwhelming, daunting, stressful, ungraspable, unmanageable, overwhelming, intimidating. Um, yeah. And then proceeds towards physical energetic collapse where the body just doesn't have energy to continue physically moving, and there's a deep craving to just be horizontal. And there may be like urges or impulses or sensation leading to this, like I just really want to take a nap, like mental thoughts, sensational feelings, maybe even images of imagining laying down, as the body tries to communicate its need to lay down. Those are just clues of consciousness. And then the after there's a decrease in brain energy, and then after there's a decrease in body energy, then there starts to be a decrease in memory access where concepts can't quite totally be grasped, and the sense of time kind of fades away, and working memory is difficult. Like if I want to do something, I can't explain to myself the step-by-step actions needed in my mind, and I can't take the step-by-step actions through my body. It's kind of this jumble of franticness of like, this is the goal, how do I get there? And that can lead to some panic or anxiety or frustration or agitation or upset or overwhelm or collapse or anything on its own. And then the sense of self begins to feel diminished. The sense of self begins to shrink in quantity and quality. So the expansiveness of existence and the specificity of existence. My bigness as an adult with an adult life and all the adult things I'm doing, along with, so yeah, like the physical thing, like I'm an adult, I'm a big person, I'm a grown up, I inhabit a body, I take up space in the world. And then the specificity of, this is who I am, this is my story, this is what I'm doing in my life right now. This is the attributes of my existence and the quality of my character and the extent of my power and abilities. So internal and external size of self shrinks would be one way to describe that. And then labored breathing. The breathing starts to be almost a hyperventilating type of a state where types of breath become very normal, labored breathing. And this is all after eating. And this is the middle towards the end of November 2019, which is 3.5 months after releasing the core trauma from our nervous system from 22 years ago. 3.5 months after going through a process of releasing a lot of that core trauma and then releasing other aspects of the trauma that month, 3 months. And so these collapses used to happen frequently, but they were much more intensive and severe. We thought that they had stopped, but I think they were just much less intense. And so we would just like not describe them as losing consciousness. We're just getting sleepy. It's only when we try to stay lucid during it that we realize the severity of what's actually happening. Yeah, my ability to understand adult concepts is reduced. There's a part of my brain that understands that we know the meaning of these words and concepts, but the majority of my brain is just blurring everything, and it looks foreign and unfamiliar and overwhelming and disorienting and confusing and nonsensical. There's a reduced capacity to put things into a relationship with one another. Like, how do the things here in life connect with the things here in life? What's it called? Undercoupling, unconscious association. My whole body just wants to be unconscious right now. My entire brain body system just desires to not be living right now, and not in a depressive, suicidal sort of a way, but in a crippled or deactivated sense of physical capacity kind of a way. I wish I knew where my heart rate thing is. I wonder if it's inside. I can't even mentally get to my theories about what's happening. Otherwise, I would describe that. I think it has to do with a dorsal vagus collapse, where the brainstem through the vagus nerve is regulating the oxygen flow and respiration differently, and causing or activating the sensations of an unconscious collapse, dysregulating all elements of the nervous system from my brain to my body. My sense of self feels like a mirage. Like I'm looking at me right now in a mirror, but I'm not actually looking at me. Like what I see is some distant foreign idea of a reality, not the truth of present tense, personalized, individualized me reality. It's like my visual perception and my internal sensations of experience are two separate realities that do not have communication with one another, and my only personal experience is through my internal sensations, not through my external physicality, including my body and my visual eyesight. Those both seem like distant things from what I'm actually experiencing in my consciousness. There's been a variety of head pains. There is an intense one here on the upper right side, and now there's a sharp one here in the middle back left side. And we always used to think that was sharp pains from brain activity, but it could just be, or it could instead be the unconscious muscular engagement in that area of my head. Yawn usually means we're on the right track, so it's more likely tensions of unconscious muscular engagement, unfolding consequentially from whatever is allowing my self, brain, body, everything to collapse. My neurophysiology has developed in a way that the collapse response is deeply and intimately connected with my parasympathetic nervous system. And so when the parasympathetic nervous system becomes activated, such as through eating, the fold response, the collapse, the dorsal vagus shutdown is activated unconsciously. It's just an integrated part of my nervous system. And it probably always has been. No. It definitely always has been. Anytime there is parasympathetic activation, there would be autonomic dysregulation where there would go into this high-end overdrive of sympathetic energy or a complete shutdown of the parasympathetic sensations. And this has to do with the spectrum of dissociative states, where that normal lucid place is not possible in during times of parasympathetic activation, and it's always going to one end or the other. So sometimes we get those deep, deep nights of sleep where we sleep for like 10 hours but wake up exhausted, maybe having had night terrors, versus the other end where there's insomnia and we maybe get 1 or 2 hours of sleep at night and then feel wired the next day. And that was stuff that happened all during during the years we grew up. My theory is that at the core of ACC, the divergent development stems from rerouting of the brainstem wiring, divergent wiring, rerouted wiring, divergent development, rerouted wiring. Where the traumatic response became an integrated part of the developing nervous system. And the neurophysiology shaped itself around that. And then, secondarily, consequentially, the aspects of consciousness divergently developed and began producing these alternate memory systems and alternate states of consciousness or multiple inner persons. And if I eat just a little bit, but not to a place of being full, I can avoid the shutdown sometimes. But I'm still hungry at that point. And so if I eat until I'm genuinely full, or my hunger feels genuinely satisfied, that's when it occurs. So the whole thing is somehow connected with the intensity of parasympathetic activation. Like just eating some food doesn't always automatically activate it. It can at times, especially if it's a sweet food. But it's more when it's in a full activation state. I just want to lay down. But if I lay down, is that caring for my body or feeding a traumatic response? I don't know. We'll try some TRE.